Oh, YouTube, what's with good? My name is Vivid, and today we're taking a little bit of a play out of Dan, aka aDrive's playbook, and we're doing a little bit of a power ranking tier list video for the WBE. But if you haven't noticed or seen, week 1 has already been played. If you haven't watched those battles, I'm going to put a link to a playlist in the description down below. It'll be a playlist containing all of the week 1 WBE VGC battles. I'm only doing the VGC teams for this sort of tier list power rankings video. Yeah, so a couple people may change their teams, modified things. I think the information I'm reading should be up to date, so I'm going to go over it, and we're just going to tier list some teams. If you haven't seen Dan's video, by the way, please go ahead and watch it. I will link that in the description as well. So there you go. But let's get into ranking some teams. Let's do this. Okay. So this is the tier list screen. It has all the coaches listed in the order we drafted in. That's the order I'm going to be ranking everybody in. I'll basically like pick a team or like talk about the team, read off the Pokemon they have access to, and then rank them. I would like to say before I get into this, I'm not here to be cutthroat or to say like, oh, you know, like I'm not here to trash talk people. There is a very wide range of skills a wide range of skills. That's not the right way to say this. There is a wide range of player skill present in this league. You have people all the way to the very new end of competitive Pokemon, like never played a competitive battle, never done VGC. You have people kind of like me, or like maybe Kyle, I think as well, is kind of in this boat where we've drafted a lot, but we've never done VGC specifically, like never paid attention to it. And then you have people who have also just won world championships and have also drafted a lot and won a bunch of draft leagues. Wolfe. So yeah, the player skill is very wide here. So I'm not here to tear anybody down. I'm not here to say like, oh, you know, like, and also just sort of like to add to that, I'm here to rank teams. I'm not looking at win-loss records for this, obviously, because we're only one weekend. I don't think that's very indicative of anything. But I'm also trying to remove coach skill from the rankings because I think if I didn't, it would just be super biased, right? I'm going to try to remove coach skill from the rankings and just rank the teams. That might be kind of hard, and it's going to be really hard specifically when I get to my team, but I'm going to try and rank myself fairly. Okay, other than that, if you are enjoying WBE content and you're excited for more content on the channel, please leave a like. Please subscribe if you're new. I'm trying to hit 4K subs by the end of this month. I think we can do it. It's been really great so far. If you want to talk to me about how I'm wrong, leave that comment in the comment section down below. There's something about people disagreeing with me that I really enjoy, so please leave that comment. You can be rude if you want. I'll probably heart your comment still. Follow me on Twitch. I plan on streaming every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. I plan on going live tomorrow. If I upload this on Tuesday, or today if this goes up on Wednesday, I plan on going live watching all the week 1 battles, or at least as many as I can, and maybe playing some VGC. So if that sounds like a good time to you, please go ahead and follow me on Twitch. Follow me on Twitter. I think this is all the plugs, right? Like comment, subscribe, like, follow me on Twitch and Twitter. That's it. That's how you keep up with me and help me out, because all of these things greatly help. But yeah, let's get into the team. So first off, we're doing aDrive. aDrive's team, the Minnesota Vikavolt. Dan has access to Togekiss, Ninetales, Alolan Form, Bronzong, Luxray, Serena, Hitmonchan, Blastoise is his Gigantamax, so Gmax, Blastoise, Rhyperior, Turtonator, Sandslash, Alolan Form, and Drapion. So right off the bat, and this is probably something I'll reiterate a lot, is if a player gets pretty good value out of their low tier picks, meaning like their tier 3 and 4 picks, I think that innately helps their draft a lot. Just because the way this draft was broken down is we had sort of like 4 tiers and then a Gigantamax tier. So each team had to pick one Gigantamax Pokemon, which didn't add or take away points from your pool of free points at all. So it was basically like a free pick. So if you got a good Gmax Mon, it seemed very beneficial. And then the tiers 1 and 2 were sort of like the high tier, like the high efficacy VGC Pokemon, and then tiers 3 and 4 were kind of like the leftovers. 4 was pretty bad. Like I think Rabu was a tier 4 Pokemon, to give, I don't know, a little bit of context here. There's some pretty garbagey tier 4 Pokemon. Tier 3, there were a lot of gyms in, so I don't want to talk too much trash about tier 3, but tier 4, we had to stretch. So Dan actually got Hitmonchan out of tier 4, and I think Turtonator. So those Pokemon, I think, are pretty good value. Turtonator specifically, I could see putting in a lot of work in a format where not every team has a Dragapult, or not every team has, like, you know, these super high tier threats, right? Like that would threaten Turtonator. Because Turtonator's typing, like Dragonfire is pretty good. Like, not every team's going to have an Excadrill, right? So I think Turtonator is a pretty solid pickup. Hitmonchan gives you some priority options, a decent fighting type out of tier 4. He has a Weather Core, which I think adds a lot of power, like a lot of inherent power to teams, but it's in my opinion, probably the worst Weather Core. I think Hail, I don't even know if this is an opinion or if it's like objective. I think Hail is subjectively or objectively, whichever you choose, the worst weather in pretty much any format, just because it lacks the worst, or it lacks the best abusers, right? Like Alolan Sandslash is a good abuser of Hail, but it's not as good as something like Kingdra in Rain, or definitely Venusaur in Sun, or even especially Excadrill in Sand. So good to have a Weather Core. That's also kind of brought up by the fact that Ninetales Alola is a strong Pokemon, and it does things that a lot of other Pokemon can't do, which is set up Aurora Veil. The Trick Room mode on this team is good, having access to Bronzong and Rhyperior specifically. Like, that mode is pretty strong. Overall, I think Dan's team is solid. I don't think it's broken. I think it's very good. Yeah, I think there are some modes here that like could be a little bit better. Let me actually pull up a stats page. I'm gonna have like little overlays with the teams on this video for you to look at. I don't have that in front of me right now. I'm actually looking on the website. Let me go to Dan's page real quick, because I want to do this for each person's page. That way I also have access to like their speed tiers and stuff like that. Just like all the information I would want to talk about. But I think Dan's team is really good, right? Like, I think Blastoise is a super value pick for Gigantamax Pokemon. Togekiss, obviously very, very strong. I don't think the Trick Room mode is the best. Rhyperior specifically doesn't have like one of the premier Trick Room speed stats. I think Drapion's a neat pickup. Luxray was, I think, the response to getting sniped from getting Vikavolt sniped. But it has Intimidate. Overall, I would say that Dan's team is solid. I'm going to put it in We Get It, Calm Down, which, by the way, the tiers are like broken is obviously broken. We Get It, Calm Down is like, okay, we get it. Your team's good. Chill out. You're doing good things. Broken is like, oh wow, you did really good. I'm proud of you. All right, good is like, all right, it's good. This is neat is like, this team has some neat things going on. I appreciate that, and we need to talk we need to talk about this because things got to change. But yeah, Dan's team, super strong. I don't think it's broken, but I think it came together really nicely. Next, we have SierraDawn, coach of the Toronto Maple Muse. Let me pull up her team really quickly. She has access to Gmax Cinderace, super strong Pokemon. Clefairy, probably the second or third best redirection in the format. Dracozolt, interesting. Talonflame, Bisharp, Blastoise, Ditto, Trevenant, Lopunny, Thievul, and Weezing. Okay, so right off the bat, the tier 4 value here is probably something I'm going to, like I said, I'm going to touch on a lot. I think Weezing is pretty good value. I think Thievul's value, except she doesn't have a way to like easily proc Unburden from Thievul, which I think would be better value, because I would imagine Unburden is what you would want Thievul to do most weeks, because it has like a okay supportive move pool, right? Like, I'm pretty sure it gets Snarl, which alone is a good supportive move pool. Not alone, but it adds. There's not really a Trick Room mode here at all, which I think is pseudo problematic. I don't know. I'm assuming Thievul gets Taunt as well. So that's good, because if you don't have a Trick Room mode, you have to be able to stop Trick Room. There's just like no speed tiers here that are great for Trick Room. Ditto's an interesting pickup. I don't know how good Ditto is in format. Honestly, I don't know. I think the way it works is it either transforms into whatever is directly across from it in the slot, or it just picks something random. Either way, it's gonna kind of be random, right? I mean, like, you can play it later in the battle if it is directly across me. I just have no clue how it works in doubles. I'm not gonna lie to you. I'm not a like pro VGC doubles player, which should tell you, don't take my ratings here super seriously. I'm just going off what I know and my gut feeling. But yeah, this team's really strong. I'm honestly super impressed. I don't know if Sierra plays competitively. I know she's been playing VGC on stream. I just started following her once the season started. A lot of coaches are new faces to this sort of format, so I followed a lot of people on Twitter and their Twitches, and I've been trying to keep up with what they're doing. But this team's it's impressive. It's really impressive. I think it's better than good. I don't think it's broken. Talonflame is a super interesting piece. It gives you priority Tailwind, which is nice. Dracozolt and Tailwind is hot. Cinderace just, I think, has the ability to overpower a lot of Pokemon in this format. Bisharp is Intimidate Protection, which is kind of nice. Blastoise, super solid. Trevenant, if Trevenant gets imprisoned, it might give you a way to at least imprison Trick Room. But yeah, overall, I think this team is really, really good. I think, again, like the value out of tier 4, I would have liked to have seen something paired with Thievul, just because I think Unburden is what you're going to want to do. And Lopunny, I'm sure it has a decent support move pool. I have no clue. Weezing just felt like a good pickup in general. So solid value out of the low tiers. Really good overall Pokemon, like really strong Cinderace, Clefairy, Talonflame, Dracozolt. Those Pokemon are really heavy hitters. Clefairy, not a heavy hitter, but good tech. So yeah, I think this team's good. I think it's very good, actually. I don't think it's broken, but I do think it's good. Now let's go to Wolfe's team. Wolfe up next. Rillaboom Gmax, probably one of the better Gmaxes in the format, because like I said, the Gmax pool, you could pick anything in the Gmax pool and it didn't detract from your other picks at all. Like it didn't count as a free pick, so it didn't dip into your points. And it was essentially just a free Pokemon. And I think Rillaboom being like the second or third most played Pokemon in the format means it was probably the most versatile Gigantamax you could pick. So really solid starts here. Arcanine, Dracovish, of course, Drifblim, Escavalier, Scrafty, Jolteon, Musharna, Lily, Piloswine, Diglett. Okay, right off the bat, the value out of the low tiers is I think Piloswine is a very strong pick. Diglett, I'm not super sold on. I know that it has Arena Trap, and specifically he got it because it's faster than Arcanine and can beat up Arcanine for like justified tricks, or he can build it faster than Arcanine and click beat up on Arcanine. I don't know if I have a ton of faith in that strategy. I'll have to see it to believe it. Diglett, I just feel like probably could have been something else. But maybe I'm wrong. And I mean, Wolfe is way better at this format than me. I will say right now, I think this team is, and this is, again, I'm trying to remove coach skill from this. And this team is very broken. He has the Rillaboom, which is fantastic. He has an Abuser with Drifblim, and it's kind of hard to find Pokemon specifically that abuse grassy terrain more so than psychic and electric terrain, because you don't want a team full of grassy glide Pokemon, but something like Rising Voltage and Expanding Force are really, really good in terrain. Misty Terrain, I don't think it's hard to find abusers for that too. That's just removing RNG from the game is the benefit there. So yeah, like having Drifblim to abuse terrain, probably like one of the better Tailwind setters in the format too. Like one of the better utility mons, can also be kind of offensive this generation, I think, because you could click Calm Mind and you still have access to Strength Sap. I don't know if Calm Mind's playable in doubles, but all I'm saying is like Drifblim probably has offensive potential because it's going to be so fast in terrain. After propping eating a grassy seed and getting the Unburden boost is specifically what I mean when I'm talking about like terrain with an Unburden Pokemon. You hold like one of the grassy, psychic, misty, or electric seeds. The seed pops whenever it enters the battlefield because of the terrain, and then you get the Unburden boost. So you get a bunch of boosts all at once, like a boost to your defense or special defense. In this case, I think it'll be defense, and then you get your speed doubled. So that's what I'm talking about. But yeah, Dracovish, really solid to be paired with Drifblim, because you can tell in Drifblim, Dracovish can outspeed things. The Trick Room mode of this team is very strong because of Musharna and Escavalier. They both have premier speed tiers. Escavalier being base 20, Musharna being 29. So yeah, I think this team's, I mean, again, I'm trying to remove player skill from this team. I think this team's broken. Like basically all the modes of the team are strong. All of the sort of like lead potential, like lead combos are very strong. It has really solid pieces. Like Arcanine's just a good mon overall. Was kind of like the Incineroar before Incineroar was released in Sword and Shield. Dracovish just has potential to run through teams. It's probably, again, I'm going to say this a lot, but a lot better in a format where every team doesn't have a Togekiss or where every team doesn't have a Dragapult. I think Dracovish gets a lot better in formats like that. Scrafty, pretty good value pickup here. Dark Fighting, just really, really good offensive coverage. The Jolteon, just super fast. Like the speed tiers are great here because you're good outside of Trick Room and you're good inside of Trick Room. And this team has a lot of different modes. So, I mean, we're going to give it broken. I'm not a fan of the Diglett. I'm not. But I think that there's enough intrinsic value in Arena Trap that it's probably worth saying, like, it's probably worth something. Like, there's just a lot of value in Arena Trap. So that alone is probably a good enough reason. Okay. Kyleaye. And again, this is with transactions for week 2. So each team like has free transactions we can make throughout the league where we can move around Pokemon, and then we get unlimited trades between other coaches. So I think Kyle actually made changes to the team. I'm just going to read it off, and there'll be a graphic for you to look at. But this should be his legal team for week 2, I think. I think the drop is he picked up Mantine somehow. I don't know the specifics, but Urshifu, Rapid Strike, Gigantamax, which is way too many words to say, Crocodile, Marowak, Alolan, Copperajah, Gudra, Tangrowth, Dusknoir, Mantine, Vikavolt, Dunsparce, and Porygon. Okay, so right off the bat, this team is incredibly slow. And not only is it incredibly slow, okay, so it's incredibly slow because nothing breaks base 100 speed, which if you're going hard Trick Room is fine. Kyle's Trick Room setters are Porygon and Dusknoir, which are, like, I think I have faith in them. I think Porygon's a lot bulkier than a lot of people realize with Eviolite because, I mean, it's a worse P2, obviously, but I still think it's fine. And Dusknoir is obviously a worse Dusclops, right? I still have faith in the Trick Room mode. It's just like the speed tiers in general aren't premier. Like Copperajah and Alolan Marowak being the best in Trick Room. Like Alolan Marowak is a ferocious Trick Room sweeper. But I feel like a lot of teams have those speed tiers that are in the 30s. And his only thing in the 30s is Copperajah, which I'm sure is fine in Trick Room. I'm just like, I don't know. I'm not super sold on Copperajah as like a Trick Room sweeper. I feel like I could be wrong. I could be very wrong. Alolan Marowak, I'm super sold on. Okay, so my problem with this team is that the speed tiers are a little wonky. I feel like he needed more speed in different places because outside of Trick Room, he has a hard time beating a team that has like 2 offensive Pokemon in the base 100 speed stat. And inside Trick Room, he has problems with Pokemon that are like sub 30, right? Like anything that's base speed is 30 or like in that range, like the only thing he has to speed tie base 30s in Trick Room is Copperajah, which I think is kind of problematic. But I think there's a lot of strong pieces here. There are some changes I would probably personally make, but I think the team is strong. I think Urshifu alone should be enough to sort of like offensively pressure a lot of teams, so I'm in for that. Crocodile with Intimidate, interesting Pokemon, pretty good in format. Intimidate's great. There's probably also like weird Moxie strategies you could use. Not weird, but like Moxie strategies you could use, like choice scarfing it. Like I know that's the thing in singles, so why not doubles? Also, I don't know if there's, I mean, he could obviously Anger Point his Crocodile if he made his Urshifu like have really bad attack stats. I don't know if he has anything other than Urshifu that auto crits. But auto critting Crocodile is a way to trigger Anger Point, which is interesting. So it's worth noting. I think this team is good. I think it's all right good. I think it's missing some pieces that it needs. I would probably play around with the speed tiers. Tangrowth and Gudra. Tangrowth I think is a super solid piece on its own because it's basically like budget Amoonguss, and Amoonguss is really good in the format. So I'm here for that. I don't love Mantine. I think Dunsparce is interesting. Vikavolt is good in Trick Room, so I'm here for it. Yeah, okay. I think the team's good. I don't think it's like we get it calmed down or broken by any stretch. All right, let's move on. Let's talk about Aaron Cybertron Zeng here and see what we think about his team. How do I get here? Melbourne Rotoms. Got it. All right. Aaron has access to Toxtricity, Gmax, Excadrill, Primarina, Whimsicott, Gigalith. Okay, Gigalith, Excadrill is a lot of power up front. Primarina, okay, Torracat, Duosion, Sigilif, Bronzor, Glaceon, and Unfezant. Okay, right off the bat. Low tier Pokemon. I feel like I'm going to talk about this a lot in each person's draft. I don't like Bronzor. I think that there's probably something better that exists, but I understand that it is a slow Pokemon that can set Trick Room. I'm sure it has other utility options. That's the only thing I can think of off the top of my head. Glaceon I think is probably interesting as a tier 4. It's probably one of the like highest base stat total Pokemon you can get, which is worth something. And again, ice cover, or not again, but ice coverage is pretty good. So especially, I don't know if it gets freeze dry, but if it gets freeze dry is pretty good in this format because there's a lot of Pokemon that freeze dry super gets. Unfezant, it has a cool crit set. The low tiers, I don't think, are like the big draw here. The top half of this draft is very, very strong. Excadrill Gigalith gives him one of the best weather cores in the game. Toxtricity plus Whimsicott gives him a really strong way to double Toxtricity speed so it can outspeed things. get in damage. Toxtricity, I think, is a Pokemon that's kind of been held back by the format. Just the way the format is played out. The fact that there's an Excadrill or a Tyranitar in a lot of teams, I think holds Tox back, but he has the Excadrill. Yeah, I think this team, I think it's good. I think it's not great in Trick Room, which is, I think, something that holds a lot of teams back. Like, his heaviest hitter in Trick Room is Gigalith at base 25 speed, which is good. Gigalith hits hard, but I don't know. The Trick Room mode of this team doesn't seem fantastic. Like, Duosion, I guess, is actually a pretty big draw here, right? Like, Duosion has a really high base special attack stat, pretty bulky with an Eviolite. Like, you're kind of locked into one item unless you just don't run Eviolite and you're just trying to hit hard and outspeed things in Trick Room. Sigilyph is kind of like the ultimate speed control Pokemon, getting access to like Tailwind, Trick Room, and Thunderwave. So Tailwind, or Sigilyph in general, offers a lot of support. I like that. Torracat, strong Pokemon. I think this team is very good. I don't know that the Trick Room mode is Premier, so I don't know that I can put it in Broken. And you don't have to have a Premier Trick Room mode to be broken. I just think it kind of helps, like, if all the modes of your team are good. I don't know. Aaron's, again, he's a much better player than me. If I was going specifically off just coach skill, I would 100% put it in Broken, which is why I'm trying not to do that. Yeah, I think Aaron's team is strong. I think it deserves we get it calmed down. I don't think it deserves Broken, though. And I think I'm just going to move on. I'm going to move on. All right, next up, we have Kaycreigh, coach of the LA Spice. How do I get to Kay's team? Real quick. Okay. Uno momento. All right, here we go. All right, Kay has access to Venusaur, Gmax, or Gigantamax, Dusclops, Ninetales, Tyranitar, Arachnid, Comfey, Fungus, Salazzle, Cloyster, Mawile, Purrloin. Okay, right off the bat. The low tier pickups here, I think, are actually pretty neat. I think Purrloin as like a budget Liepard is smart. It does, I think, everything Liepard does. It's a lot more frail, but Liepard's not exactly a defensive juggernaut anyways. So I think that's neat. Mawile, not a fan. I think it's going to be hard to ever justify bringing Mawile as like one of your 6 mons. I could be wrong. And Kay is like proving to be very good at this format. So I think, I mean, I don't know. I'm scared. I play Kay week 2 and I'm terrified. Cloyster is a really good Pokemon in a tier 4. Other than that, like Salazzle is a super strong pickup at a tier 3. Fungus gives you redirection and Spore. Also fantastic inside Trick Room. Just because I think like I don't think Bronzor is great inside Trick Room because I don't know what it can do once Trick Room's up, right? Duosion at least hits. Fungus can Spore the entire field, and that's worth a lot. Also, just Rage Powder is really good. Comfey here, I think, is a sleeper pick. I think Comfey is very, very strong. Triage is a hell of an ability and gives it a lot of support options, like Floral Healing to heal 50% of your teammate. Your partner Pokemon, whatever, you know what I'm trying to say. Floral Healing is basically like Heal Pulse, but it comes at +3 priority, which is insane. Arachnid, really solid in Trick Room, really heavy hitting water type. Tyranitar, just a really strong Pokemon. Having dual weather with Tyranitar and Ninetales, I think is very strong. Ninetales and Venusaur is a very offensive core. Dusclops is one of the premier Trick Room setters. It's like Dusclops P2. I think this team's very good. And this is an opinion I've held since the draft. Kay got pretty good value out of her tier 4 slots. The only thing I'm not really a fan of is Mawile. Kay's top end is insane. Like Venusaur, Dusclops, Ninetales, Tyranitar is an insane amount of power in 4 picks. A lot of people will say like, oh, I wish she had picked up Torkoal instead of Ninetales. I think Ninetales is actually good here because she already has like a reasonable Trick Room mode with like with like Tyranitar, right? Like, or Arachnid. Like, they're not premier Trick Room speeds. Fungus is really good inside Trick Room, but okay, so it doesn't have premier Trick Room speed tiers necessarily, and Dusclops isn't enough on its own, which is I think why Porygon 2 is better. Like, Porygon 2 on its own can win games. I think Dusclops has a really hard time doing that. Just because Porygon 2, I think it's a little bit harder to kill, and on top of being a little bit harder to kill, it has the move Recover, so it just lasts longer. I think it's good that she went with Ninetales. Like, I think both would be very strong on this team, but Ninetales specifically, I think the extra speed is beneficial to her team. Tyranitar giving her access to dual weather, even though she doesn't have like a sand sweep or anything. I think just having Tyranitar and being able to really control the weather is strong, because a lot of games come down to like weather control, speed control, and terrain control. So Kay doesn't have terrain control, but she has speed control and weather control a lot. I think this team's good. I mean, I guess the speed control aspect isn't fantastic here, right? I think it's good. Oh, yeah. Venusaur and Sun, yeah. I think this team's broken. I think Kay honestly has like one of the best teams in the format. I think it's really strong. I think she just drafted insanely well. Again, the only thing I'm kind of low on here is Mawile. Okay, moving along, we're going to Poijz and the Detroit Littens. Poijz, who changed some of his mons around again. So again, I'm reading the mons that are legal for week 2. Inteleon, Gmax, Cobalion, Darmanitan, Galar, which took the place of Rotom Heat, I believe. Rillaboom, Meowstic Male, Persian Alola, Claydol, Miltank, Cinccino, Girder, and Rapidash, which I think took the place of Raboot. So, right off the bat here, I think the tier 4 pickup's actually really strong. I don't necessarily love that he has access to Girder and Cobalion. I think Girder could be basically anything else and be more beneficial. But Rapidash, I think, is a super strong tier 4 pickup. Good speed tier, pretty hard hitting, physical fire type. Cinccino, again, good speed tier, has like some annoying sets, like the flinch sets with Skill Link are pretty neat. Miltank and Claydol, I think he actually traded his Rhydon for Claydol, which is a trade I don't love at all. Rhydon offered offensive pressure and I don't know, and like bulk. Claydol just really offers bulk. I don't like Claydol. I think Claydol was a whiff here. I think it sets Trick Room, but his Trick Room mode is really bad. Like no good speed tiers for Trick Room. The cool mode of his team is Cobalion, Persian Alola form. Like that's very strong. If you don't know, like Persian gets beat up. Cobalion has Justified. I mentioned this earlier with Wolfe's draft, but you beat up something with Justified and gets the +4 attack on the same turn. So that's really strong. Darmanitan, he switched because he wanted more punching power. I think that's a strong pickup. It's something that teams just have to prep for. I mean, you can just choice Scarf or choice ban Darmanitan each week, and it's going to do something. Also, playing around with the Zen mode form could be really cool. I think that's something that's neat. I don't know when it procs. I don't know if it's like 75% or 50% of your health, but Zen mode, it's really strong. It gives you access to like fire and ice stabs, which are both really strong. So that's neat. Rillaboom, best mon, or like one of the best mons in the format. I really wish he had something to abuse it. Like for instance, I think basically anyone that has like a terrain setter, but doesn't have a way to sort of like abuse the terrain, I feel like it's almost meh. Like you're just going for terrain control at that point. Like Hitmonlee, I think, is still on the draft. It's still a free agent, is what I'm trying to say here. Like Hitmonlee, I think, would add a lot of power to this team almost instantly, because what do you do against the lead of Rillaboom, Hitmonlee, right? Like it's just something else you have to prep for, because like right now, the only like very obvious blatant lead pair that people have to prep for is like Persian and Cobalion. So if you prep for that lead and you also make sure you have decent matchups against things like Darmanitan and Rillaboom, then like your lead matchup's solved, right? Like you don't have to stress about it. Whereas like if you have to prep for all of a sudden like Cobalion and Persian and Rillaboom and Hitmonlee, it makes your leads a lot more unpredictable. So I don't know. I think this team is neat. It's got a lot of neat pieces. I think it's lacking specifically in the speed tier department. Like there's a lot of clustered speed tiers here. 105, 115, 100, 115, 104, 108, 120. Inteleon is a cool pickup. Like I think it's a cool Gmax. I think you can put in a lot of work, but and I think Darmanitan helped the team out. I think that 2 of the trades he made helped I think 2 of the trades helped out. Like I think trading Rotom Heat for Darmanitan was smart, and I think trading Raboot for Rapidash was smart. I don't think Raboot is very playable, but I think that Rhydon for Claydol was not the best here. Those are just personal takes. Okay, Gardevoir Guardians. Gardevoir Guardians. This is Versus Network. Let us see. I know that Versus made a hefty amount of adjustments. I need to find the team real quick so I can read off. Okay, so Versus has access to Grimmsnarl Gmax, strong Pokemon, Durant, really strong, actually. I think this is one of the transactions. Gothitelle, strong, good trapper. Incineroar, super solid. Inteleon, Raichu, Good Tech, Executor, Alola, Machamp, Haunter, Kingler, and Sandslash. Okay, so before, this team had like a bunch of tech Pokemon, like Pokemon that are like utility Pokemon, like, and not a lot of hard hitters. Getting access to Durant feels really strong. Incineroar is a really strong Pokemon. Let's look at the speed tiers here. Okay, not a Trick Room mode present, really. The best Trick Room, Mon and Trick Room here is Executor Alola, which is worth something. I guess that is worth something. It's pretty strong inside Trick Room, but I don't think it's the best. Raichu, I think, is a really strong pickup. I think this team's good. I don't think it's great. I don't know how good Grimmsnarl is in the format. I have very little experience playing with or against it outside of like singles. I think it like yawns both sides of the field though, right? Which is pretty valuable. But it's like not 100%. I think it like yawns 50% of the time, maybe. I don't know. Durant is a strong pickup here because I think a lot of what Versus needed was more punching power, and Durant is a Pokemon that you can always max. Like, you can max Durant each game. And with Hustle, you basically negate the accuracy drops from Durant, and it just gets super strong really quickly. I don't think he has great speed control, though, which I think is the problem here. Like, I think he needs, like, a Tailwind setter. I don't think he has a Tailwind Pokemon. So he's going to be relying on like Thunder Wave or Fake Out from Raichu. I think Fake Out's basically like it's not null and void. It's still a good move. But once if they max into your Fake Out, you just wasted your turn. Or if you Fake Out into their max, you wasted your turn. Yeah, I don't know. Gothitelle is pretty good. I think Grimmsnarl is probably strong, but I don't know how strong. I'm going to put this team in good. I think that Durant is a big pickup here, but I don't think there's enough like modes or flexibility here to put it in We Get It Calm Down. Okay. Next up, we have the Chicago Black Flock, coached by Moxie Boosted. This is one of the teams that I think is very strong, but I have a hard time. Okay, well, let me read the team first. Charizard, Gmax, Venusaur, Hitmontop, Klefki, Mandibuzz, Mudsdale, Slowking, Drampa, Berserker, Manectric, Togepi. All right, so right off the get, I think Togepi is like a pretty sweet pickup in tier 4. Like, pretty good redirection, pretty bulky with an Eviolite, so I'm into it. Manectric, I think, is another Pokemon that was like a really good tier 4 pickup here. This team has a good Trick Room mode, and sort of like Drampa, Slowking, and Mudsdale, right? So like the Trick Room option is fine. You don't have the best setter, which is I think a little unfortunate. But it can play inside Trick Room without like auto losing, which I think is important. I guess that's what I'm getting at. Like, you need to be able to play inside Trick Room without auto losing, because I think if you auto lose in Trick Room, your team is inherently less viable. So it can play in Trick Room. You have this Weather Core of Charizard, Gmax, and Venusaur, but no actual Sun Setter. He opted for just grabbing Klefki to like auto set Sun. There's a lot of debate as to whether or not that's very good. I personally don't think it is stronger than just grabbing like Torkoal or Ninetales here. Like, Klefki gives you diversity 100%. Like, it does. It gives you diversity to sort of attack from different angles. You don't have to set Sun if you don't want to. Also, Prankster is just a strong like ability to have access to. But I think sometimes there's just something so seamless about having an auto weather setter that I think it's hard to say that this makes the team stronger. I think if he had access, if Moxie had access to Ninetales or Torkoal here, or even like Vulpix, I think that this team maybe not Vulpix. Vulpix, I think, would probably be worse than Klefki, but Ninetales or Torkoal, I think that this team would be broken. I think this team, as it sits, is We Get It Calm Down, because the weather mode is very, very strong. I think Hitmontop's excellent. I think Klefki's a good Pokemon. Mandibuzz, I think, is probably not the best Dark type for the format, but also just really bulky, so good, and it's also a good deterrent for Psychic types, which is, I think Psyspam is like a pretty strong Archetype right now, so smart pickups. Like I said, the Trick Room mode here isn't premier or premium, but he doesn't auto lose in Trick Room, which is good. Good value out of tier 4, but I just have a hard time thinking this team is broken, especially like if you compare it to these two teams, where these two teams can play like sort of very flexibly in any type of mode. Like good, I mean, the Kay's Trick Room mode I think is worse than Moxie's Trick Room mode, but I think her mode outside of Trick Room is so much better. Like the access to like an auto weather setter, the access to like dual weather control. I think that for me at least, I think that Moxie falls just a little bit short, but I would put him at the top of We Get It Calm Down for now, at least. I would do something like this, I think. Something like this, I think, because I'm going to rank these inside the tiers as well. Also, I think I would do this. Okay, so there we go. All right, that's that. And again, I could be wrong. Feel free to disagree with me. I feel like the team is very, very strong. It's one of the standout teams in the league for sure. I just feel like again, the Trick Room mode, not fantastic. A lot of good utility Pokemon and a lot of solid like low tier pickups. Like I think Berserker's a really cool pickup, just as like a fairy killer. I think it's worth a lot. And the Trick Room Pokemon are decent. The weather Pokemon are fantastic. I just think having to like auto set weather, you kind of lock yourself into maybe not favorable positions all the time. And I guess that's like the only thing. I'll leave it there. If like you see Charizard, Venusaur, Klefki in team preview, you know that the only way Sun is going up is Klefki, right? So those are my thoughts. Okay. Moving along, we have Randolph, coach of the London Bisharps. Let me pull up that team really quickly. This person is the one who hard sniped. Randolph hard sniped me of Gmax Hatterene. So we're gonna rate you aggressively. No, I'm kidding. Gmax Hatterene, Dragapult, Terrakion, Volcarona, Magnezone, Slowbro, Heliolisk, Marowak, Kanto Form, Delibird, Noctowl, and Thwackey. So right off the get, and I feel like I always talk about tier 4s first because they're the last ones I mentioned. Delibird I think is borderline useless. Noctowl I see the value in. Noctowl with tinted lenses and like Specs or Scarf can actually do a decent amount of damage. I'm sure, like, I don't think you ever want to Gmax your Noctowl, but its max airstreams would hit pretty hard with tinted lenses. So I see the value. I'm here for it. I'm sure that one of these gets Tailwind, which is also value. Thwackey, excellent tier 4 pickup, but not really anything to abuse it. Like, you have no unburdened Pokemon. Like Thwackey in general, you're probably not going to want to be like Grassy Gliding with too much. I'm sure it gets Grassy Glide. I know Rillaboom does. I don't know. I'm sure it gets it, but 1 second. Okay, we're better now. I don't know. I think that like it's an excellent pickup because it gives you terrain control, but you have no way to sort of like abuse that terrain. So that bit falls a little bit short for me. Marowak, pretty good inside Trick Room. The mode here, okay, so your Trick Room setters are Hatterene and Slowbro, which are also presumably your best mons inside Trick Room. I would like to see something not like Hatterene's great. Hatterene's one of the best Trick Room sweepers in the format. Slowbro, I have a hard time justifying. I don't think the Slowbro fits super well here. I think you would want something outside because its primary attacking type is presumably going to be Psychic, right? I don't know. The Slowbro feels a little bit like redundant and not super useful. I would have liked to have seen like a piece. I don't know. Something different. Like Marowak is pretty cool inside Trick Room. Volcarona, good redirection with Rage Powder. So I appreciate that because you could like lead with Volcarona and like Rage Powder and then Trick Room with Hatterene. So that's neat. Dragapult, just like a staple Pokemon in the format, does a lot, fills a lot of roles all at once. Also, this like Dragapult Terrakion mode like gives you the beat up option right from the get, which I think is good. Dragapult like speed tier is phenomenal. So that's really good. Like your mode outside of Trick Room is actually really cool. Like I think Dragapult, Terrakion, Volcarona, and Heliolisk, like their speed tiers are really, really good. A little bit of clustered around like base 100 and 110 here with Terrakion, Heliolisk, and Volcarona. So some downsides there, but all in all, I think like the Dragapult Terrakion combo is really strong. Magnezone is, and I think like a little bit of an odd pickup. I think that I would have liked to have seen not both Magnezone and Heliolisk. I guess you could say those are the quote unquote grassy terrain abusers, but you can also just like an opponent can just run Drill Run, right? Or like something Earth Power, you know what I mean? So not, I don't know. I would have liked to have not seen two electric types too. I think this team's good. I think it has good pieces. I don't think it's We Get It Calm Down, but I think it's like one or two pieces away from that. Like if you probably drop the Magnezone, I think Heliolisk is actually better than Magnezone on this team. Drop the Magnezone and the Slowbro, pick up like
a Trick Room mon and like one more utility piece, and I think you're there. Also, Delibird is a trash Pokemon, so just get rid of it. Hot takes. Okay, moving along. Next, we have my team. It's gonna be all right. So listen, I drafted this team. I'm obviously very partial to it. I think it is very strong, and it's hard. Like, it's almost impossible for me to be unbiased. If I could put myself somewhere right now, I would put myself in between We Get It, Calm Down, and in between Broken. Because I don't think my team is quite as good as these two teams, but I do think my team is better than We Get It, Calm Down. And obviously that's I'm just being super honest here. That's a biased opinion. I drafted the team. I get that. I'll read the team. It's Duraludon, Gmax, Amoonguss, Indeedee Male, Pelipper, Reuniclus, Seismitoad, Excelgor, Palossand, Pangoro, Emolga, and Rapidash. I think the only like quote unquote weak link of my team is Emolga. I think Emolga is like kind of sus. Like, it has a decent speed tier, has decent support moves, also gets access to Nuzzle. So like, I think it's okay. It's like okay value for tier 4, but it's probably like the weakest link to my team. I think Rapidash Galara actually has like a lot of value to it, has a really diverse coverage, like really diverse coverage options, good max moves, like gets max Airstream, max Knuckle. It is really good in Psychic Terrain because it's like a physical abuser of Psychic Terrain, or I can just like have it as a fast expanding Force mon, because its special attack is 80, so it's not the worst. Like, I could spec expanding Force and that would be fine. Heal Pulse, Ally Switch. Like, I think Rabbit. I feel like I've been defending Rapidash this entire like since I drafted it. I think it's actually pretty good on the team. I think it fits well. Pangoro, I needed something to sort of like deter other dark types and also to check opposing psychic types. Pangoro was the fit there. I have the Palossand Excelgor combo, which I think you have to prep for each week. Like, you can't just bring mono physical offense and hope to get by, because if I just lead Excelgor Palossand and set it up on turn 1 by doing the Water Shuriken into Palossand to get it to max defense, you're probably not breaking it. So I think that's good. I have Seismitoad Pelipper. I think Seismitoad is actually like a kind of underrated Rain Sweeper, has super good coverage options, like a really wide move pool, great typing. It's not weak to electric. So I have 2 water types that don't share an electric weakness. I don't know that they share weaknesses, right? Because Pelipper is not weak to grass. It's neutral. It's 4x to electric. Seismitoad is 4x to grass, but not weak to, or like immune to electric. So I felt like Seismitoad can also be defensive. I have the Reuniclus and Indeedee Male combo, so like a Psy Spam combo, and then just Amoonguss for redirection and Spore. I play inside Trick Room really well with Amoonguss and Reuniclus, and to an extent Palossand. And then also, like, I just have Duraludon, which if my opponent's expecting like Excelgor Palossand and they lead with redirection, I can just lead with Duraludon to sort of like negate any redirection strategies. I think the team is really good. I think it's very good. You let me know. I'm gonna rank myself at the top of We Get It, Calm Down, because I think I would be in between here. But again, that's kind of like, this is obviously like a very biased take. So that's that. I mean, I could be wrong. I think my team is very strong. I don't know. Could be wrong. Okay, moving along. We have Zoetwodots, coach of the Aussie Gliders. Aussie. I keep like, she said in the draft chat somewhere, like, please pronounce it Aussie, like Ozzy Osbourne, not Aussie, like an Australian Shepherd, or I don't know. That's what we call them here stateside, Aussies. That's probably wrong. We should probably call them Aussies too. Whatever. Sorry if you're watching this. Okay. So Zoe, super new to the format, never done competitive, was my week 1 opponent. Appleton, Gmax, Mimikyu, Torkoal, Chandelure, Gastrodon, Togedemaru, Lapras, Lilligant, Meowstic, Female, Corsola, Quagsire. Okay, so right after that, you see 4 water types, 3 of them 4x to grass type attacks, and then Lapras. You have 3 water types that are all immune to water, and Quagsire, Lapras, and Gastrodon. There's just way too much overlap here. The Torkoal Lilligant combo stands out a lot, like it's strong. Appleton is reasonable inside Trick Room. Like, the Trick Room mode here is actually pretty strong. Like, Torkoal, Mimikyu is like a good setter because it's hard to like stop it from setting Trick Room by killing it. Like, obviously you can taunt it, but like Mental Herb Mimikyu almost always gets Trick Room up. You have to break the disguise before you can do anything to it, and it's immune to Fake Out. Appleton, I think this is our first pick, and I don't think this would have got picked up in the draft, like, at all. So that's kind of, I don't know, that instantly kind of set her back a little bit. The Torkoal is super strong in Trick Room. Chandelure, just like a really strong Pokemon, can also imprison Trick Room. Base 145 special attack is insane. Togedemaru, a really strong, like, utility piece, but it's just really hard to look at this team without seeing like, oh, there's 4 water types here and 3 of them are water absorb, like almost exclusive, or like 2 water absorbs and a storm drain in Gastrodon. Like if I was given this team, I probably drop Corsola, Quagsire, Lapras, maybe the Appleton Gmax. You get 4 moves. I don't know. I think this team has a lot of cool pieces. I do, like especially like the Torkoal Lilligant like lead is neat. It's good. It's just really hard to look at this team and not see like all the redundancy and say like, oh, this, you know what I mean? But again, super new to the format, super fresh. Like I get it. I think the first draft I ever played in was a singles draft league, and my first pick was Pelipper. So like I was like, oh, Rain's busted, and I just first picked Pelipper. So like I'm obviously clearly like not, you know, like I didn't draft well my first draft. The moral of the story here is first draft league, first competitive experience ever. I think also just wanted to pick Pokemon she thought were cute. I'm just thinking there's probably some cute Pokemon left that you can pick up and while like moving some of these things around. So that's that. But she's also fantastic. Like we hopped in call before battle and we chatted a little bit. She just wanted to ask about some things. She was very kind, super like upbeat, lighthearted. I don't know. Zoe's great. So that's my take on that. Okay. Next is the Furious Fishes, coached by Reversal. And this is another one where I don't think Reversal has very much competitive experience. I'm going to read the team off. It's Gengar, Gmax, Clefable, Gyarados, Milotic, Dreadnought, Poliwrath, Exeggutor, Frostmoth, Dedenne, Grapploct, and Pichu. I think week 1 he had access to Alakazam and he dropped that for Clefable. I mean, still, like I'm looking at this team post and I think he dropped Eevee for Pichu? I don't know, man. I'm looking at this team and I'm like, there's, again, Gyarados, Milotic, Dreadnought, Poliwrath. So 4 water types. The low tier picks, like Dedenne and Pichu, are functionally the same thing, like not usable. Grapploct, I think probably has some niche usage, but not great. Exeggutor is reasonable inside Trick Room or as like a chlorophyll mode, but you don't have any way to set Sun. Reliably, at least. Yeah, I don't know. I'm gonna be super honest with you. I have no clue. I think that this is just another case of like it's first time, not super like never played competitive. I don't think like ever looked at VGC. There's like a lot of good pieces here, but again, it's like hard to look at all the overlap. Like having both Dreadnought and Poliwrath, but not a rain setter, excuse me, is a tough sell for me. Yeah, this team's just it's a little all over the place, and this is how I would rank these too. Like each tier, I'm gonna rank things inside the tier, and that's gonna be like number 1, like the best team, to number 16. So yeah, that's, I mean, I don't have a ton to say here. I feel like you could move some things around. Unfortunately, I think he already used some moves on getting Pichu and Clefable. Clefable's a strong pickup here, but Alakazam also gave you a fast, like a good speed tier and offense. I think I would have dropped Gyarados before Alakazam. Or I think if I was given this team right now, I would be trying to get rid of Gyarados, Milotic. If I had 4 moves, I would be trying to get rid of Gyarados, Milotic, and either Dreadnought or Poliwrath, and then, I don't know, Pichu. Who knows? Whatever. All right, moving on. We have the Golden State Glaceons, coached by Stephofanime. All right, so this team, I'm going to say right now, I think is one of the strongest in the league. And that is a personal take. I've seen people sort of like parroting that sentiment in comment sections, but it's so good. Okay, so Snorlax, Gmax, Cinderace, Corviknight, Jellicent, Riolu, Toxtricity, Rhydon, Rabombi, Tangela, Kangaskhan, and Lanoon. Real quick, does Rabombi get Tailwind? I'm sure Corviknight does, but does Rabombi? I'm thinking it probably does, but I don't super know. If it gets Tailwind, I think that adds a lot of power to the team. Like having it, yeah, it does. Okay, so having a fast Tailwind setter this is Gen 7 or Gen 8. Oh no, it's not. Oh shoot, does it not get it anymore? Just 1 second. Hold, please. Uno Momento. Oh, maybe it doesn't. Okay, it looks like it doesn't get Tailwind this generation, unless I'm wrong. Either way, I'm assuming that Corviknight does, question mark. I think just having Tailwind on this team is like pretty important because of things like Toxtricity. Toxtricity with Tailwind is super strong. Jellicent is good with either Tailwind or inside a Trick Room or like Scarfed, because Jellicent, it's like it's kind of got like a middling speed, so it's not the best outside of or inside Trick Room, but having access to Water Spout and maybe positioning yourself to where you can go first, at least I think Jellicent still gets Water Spout. This is something, again, I'm not super up to date with like the current VGC format, so I'm kind of just talking here, but I think Jellicent still has access to Water Spout. Let me check a few more things real quick. Like, one, does Corviknight get Tailwind? I'm assuming it does. It feels like a Pokemon that would get access to Tailwind. I think Tailwind is like pretty important for this team, is the only reason I keep bringing it up. And no, yeah, okay. So Corviknight gets Tailwind. Okay, cool. So having access to Tailwind is good speed control. Cinderace, really strong Pokemon, can overwhelm a lot of things. I think there's an argument to be made that Cinderace is better than Max Cinderace, because your like max move can set the sun, which you can probably try to benefit off of, even if that's just hitting harder. Or you could get like Chlorophyll, Tangela, and Sleep Powder things, which is also kind of neat. I'm into that. Snorlax, super strong, really good, kind of hard to break through, also good in Trick Room. I think Ribombee is a threat. It's got a great speed stat, reasonable special attack stat, good support move pool. Toxtricity, I think, is great alongside Tailwind, or ways to make sure it goes first. Just really good at breaking through things. Riolu is an interesting piece here, just because having access to Prankster Copycat means Riolu can do some like kind of cheeky things. Yeah, I think it's very well put together. I think it's super strong. Kangaskhan, really good value at a tier 4. I think Galarian Lanoon is really good value at a tier 4. Yeah, I think this team's strong. Did I read the full team? I think I did. I'm not sure. I'm not sure if I read the full team, but if I didn't, you saw it on screen. I think this team, to me, goes to broken. It has... okay, maybe not. Is it? I think so. I think there's arguments for it. It plays fine inside Trick Room. It doesn't auto-lose to Trick Room. It is really good outside of Trick Room, and it has a lot of interesting pieces that work together very well. So that's my justification here. I think Tangela specifically is like a really cool value pickup in tier 3, because it's basically like a Mungus Light. It's super bulky, like takes hits for days. It has access to Sleep Powder, has Rage Powder. Like, I think this team is very well put together. I think it's drafted well. And I know Steph has been playing competitively at least for a while. Like, I don't know if she's been doing VGC, but I remember like Philly Beats You hosted this like singles, like bring 6 ban 1, so like singles 5v5 format, and I think she won it. So I don't know, Steph, from everything I've seen from her, she plays well. This team, I don't know. Again, okay, also I'm still trying to like separate coach skill here, but I'm just saying, like, I think it makes sense that this team is put together very well. I'll leave it at that. Okay. I would say it's like at the bottom of broken though. Okay. Next up we have the 8 Hawluchas, coached by Jack from NerdOut Gaming. And this is the team that I think is widely regarded by a lot of people as like one of the best in the format. So Jack has access to Colossal Gmax and DD Female, Virizion, Hawlucha, Pincurchin, Raichu, Alola form, Klotzer, Sneasel, Steelix, Beheeyem, and Doublade. So he just traded Morpeko for Steelix, which I think is actually kind of important, because before that he did not have an electric immunity, and now he does. I think that's important for his team. He still has a dark type in Sneasel, which isn't like, it's not bulky, but just having a dark type in general to put on like dark type stab pressure or to absorb psychic type attacks is valuable. Anyways, the whole point of this team is he has a DD Female and Pincurchin, so double terrain control, which is impressive. Sneasel can set up like almost all of his team. Sneasel sets up, not all of his team, but a lot of his team. Like Sneasel sets up the Hawlucha with like, I think you Ice Shard the Hawlucha and you can proc a weakness policy. You can beat up the Virizion and you can surf the Colossal to trigger its Steam Engine. Like Sneasel does a lot of work here. He has a lot of good Pokemon inside terrain, like Having Ndidi plus BAM means he has a Trick Room mode. Like, again, not a premier Trick Room speed because its base speed is 40, but still pretty good. Also, you can just try to like outspeed the other Trick Room Pokemon outside of Trick Room. So that's worth a lot. Like, good Psychic Spam Core. Raichu Alola, great inside Psychic or Electric Terrain, so like a dual abuser. Probably much stronger in Electric Terrain, but can use both. Virizion with a beat up is good. Like, this team has so many modes. Klotzer abuses the terrains here to get like extra coverage. Can get an Electric type Terrain Pulse or a Psychic type Terrain Pulse. I think Steelix was smart because now he has an Electric immunity, so his own terrain can't be used against him. And then this Blade, it seems like a really strong pickup out of tier 4 specifically. Like, his tier 4 pickups, I think, are some of the best value in the in the league. Like, the Blade, just super bulky, like probably never gonna like do a ton of work for you, but like super bulky, good inside Trick Room, good attack stats, super physically bulky. You have to EVO Light for it to be especially bulky. I think this team's good. I think this is, in my opinion, I think it's the best team in the league. I think a lot of people have sort of like echoed that sentiment. It just does a lot here. It has a lot of strong pieces. Everything, like, it feels like every piece synergizes with every other piece almost perfectly. I mean, the only thing that could have made this team better is like, I don't know, if he had Weavile instead of Sneasel, so it would be a faster speed, like a higher speed tier. It's the only thing. Like, the Colossal set is strong. Like, that's hard to prep for. You just have to prep for so much when building for this team. Like, it might not always play out the same way. Like, maybe you see what they're doing game 1 and you just bring like different modes of your team to counter, but you have to prep for a lot because the Virizion beat up mode is really strong. The Colossal Surf mode is really strong. The Hawlucha and Terrain mode is not as strong as some of the others because Hawlucha's base attacks, that's not fantastic. You have to Sword Stance for Hawlucha to Breaker. Like, I guess you could max Knuckle and then max Air Whirlwind Stream, which is fine. The Pincurchin Raichu mode is strong, and Ndidi BAM is strong. Yeah, this team's got a lot going for it. Very well put together, very well drafted. And then last up, we have Big Leak Energy, coached by Duncancantdie. This team is like mono wall breakers and Lapras Gmax to like protect them. It's interesting. So you have Lapras Gmax, Porygon Z, Urshifu Single Strike, Darmanitan, Gengar, Togetic, Cottonee, Flapple, Golurk, Kadabra, and Magneton. Okay, so out of tier 4, the Kadabra and Magneton I think is like a pretty good value pick. Again, like, I think anything that has like a reasonable base stat total and good options is probably viable because, like I said, tier 4 contained like a lot of not fully evolved Pokemon. Like, again, like Raboots and Grookey were in tier 4, for instance. So getting things that are fully evolved and have reasonable base stat totals and like stat lines and good attacks is valuable. I don't think Magneton gets a ton of utility here, but it's an electric type and it can trap steel, so that's worth something. Kadabra, just like a fast psychic type, it's fine. I think the tier 3 pickups here, Cottonee, Flapple, and Golurk. Flapple is a really good breaker if you can max it, which we can Dynamax anything in this league, so you don't have to just max your Gigantamax Mon. I guess I should have said that earlier. Flapple is a good breaker. Golurk, like, okay, so these are my things. Duncan is not good inside Trick Room, really at all. He doesn't have Premier's Trick Room speeds. He doesn't have like clear-cut Trick Room setters. So a lot of his games are going to be, or a lot of his games versus teams with Trick Room modes are going to be based around not letting that happen. Which he can do fairly well. Like, Cottonee has access to Taunt. Doesn't have access to Tailwind, but he gets, I think it's like Cotton Spore or something. It's like reverse Tailwind. Instead of doubling the speed of your side of the field, it like harshly lowers the speed of your opponent's side of the field. And I think it targets both at the same time. So it's basically a reverse Tailwind. It's not as good because they can just switch out and reset it. But still, Togetic, good redirection. Probably pretty hard to kill, right? Like, pretty bulky with an EVO Light, so that's neat. Gengar, just like a solid speed tier. Good Mon, has good max options. Darmanitan, kind of a ferocious breaker. Same with Urshifu Single Strike. Like, Urshifu Single Strike is like kind of terrifying. You have to prep for it each week because whatever the like auto crit dark type move is just gonna like plow through things, especially if it's like Bandit or Life Orb. There's a little bit of tension here between Porygon Z and Lapras. Porygon Z basically always wants to max to get the most out of it. Like, a lot of Porygon Z sets run Hyper Beam because it's your best max option. So So there's a little bit of tension because I think you're basically not bringing Lapras unless you max it. Lapras loses a lot of potential if you don't have access to Gmax Resonance. So a little bit of tension there. But again, I think each team should have multiple max options and you should kind of play it by ear. So that's not like a negative point here. Just it would be hard to bring both of these in the same 4. Maybe not hard, but like it would be a little bit trickier. I think this team's good. I think it's very good. I think it's missing some Trick Room components because he does not play well in Trick Room at all. I don't think he auto loses in Trick Room, but it looks like it's probably close. Like a lot of the speed tiers are pretty clustered, like in the 90s, right? Like his top 3 picks are 90, 97, 95. Gengar is 110. Kadabra 105, 70, 70. So like a little bit of clumping going on, which makes it easier for your opponents to prep for you. But I don't know. I think it seems good. I don't know if we get it calmed down. At least that's how I feel. I think it's probably the best team in this. It's like, okay, so this is how I would see it. Again, this is super biased to me. I would put myself in between these tiers. I would put Duncan in between these tiers. And then that's that. I think everything else is probably pretty accurate. So this is my rating. I think that the best team in the league is the 8th Holuchas. I think Wolfe's team second best. I think Kay's team is probably the 3rd best team. And then I think Steph's is the 4th. And these, again, this is just like base teams. And then again, I should probably just like remove myself from this because I'm obviously like very biased. I think I'll just put myself, I'm going to make another tier. No, I'm not. I'm not doing that right now. But I think that my team is somewhere in between these 2 tiers, personally. I could be wrong. If you feel like I'm wrong, let me know. I'm going to leave it here for now. Moxie's team, these teams really strong, all really well composed. Like these are all very close, I feel like. It's hard to even say that like one is stronger than the other. Like actually ranking these things, like when I think the teams are so comparable in strength, would actually have to come down to coach experience, which is something I'm trying not to include in this. And then, yeah, I think this is it. I think this is a tier list. So let me know what you think. Let me know your thoughts. If you agree with me, let me know. If you think that I'm way off base, let me know. I'm more than happy to hear your criticisms. I'm more than happy for you to argue with me in the comment section down below. I would love those things. So that's it. That's the video. If you made it to the end, thank you so much. I know it was a long one. I had a lot of thoughts about this, but thank you for listening and thank you for your time. If you enjoyed it, please leave a like on this video. It would mean the absolute most. If you're new here, please subscribe. And like I said, comment in the comment section down below. Let me know. Follow me on Twitch and Twitter. Those are my things. Wow, I didn't realize how long this video was until I went full screen to outro. But that's it. Thank you so much. My name is Zoet. I'm kind of done here. I have to leave. Bye. Oh, you made it to the end of the video. That's dope. Thank you so much for watching. If you would like to see more from me and make it to the end of those videos, there will be a video here and a video here. This one is a video that I think is really good, and this is what YouTube recommends. So you should watch one of them. Okay, thanks.